Welcome back to Ducks Digest. I'm Alice Osborne. In our previous video, we were talking about CJ Verdell's significant injury. We hope he's okay. That's the most important. But the question is, how significant is this injury? And that opens up another question. What is the running back room looking like if CJ Verdell isn't able to play? Max, what's your perspective on it?
It's definitely a big question that is looming large right now for Oregon. We're awaiting further updates on Verdell's injury. As we head into next week from Mario Cristobal, so I'm sure we'll get those updates out once those come out. But just based off what he said in the press conference after the game, with it being significant, it begs the question. If he's not able to go, if this is a more long-term injury, what is it? What do things look like, right?
Mhm.
So I think with the usage that we've seen from Travis Dye, that dude's just a dog. He is an absolute competitor. He can get it done in the run game, in the pass game. Took a huge hit on an amazing catch against Stanford on Saturday, so that was pretty big against Stanford. Travis Dye carried the ball 19 times for 96 yards, and that's 5.1 yards a pop. Also had 4 catches for 39 yards, so he's a really versatile back, and he's been super consistent for Oregon. But after that, it's a very unproven group of guys, right?
Mhm.
Trey Benson took snaps as running back 3 against Stony Brook. The first guy that wasn't Verdell or Dye to get a carry. So we kind of thought he was, running back 3 if you want to give him that title. But you also have some other talented guys in Cardwell and McGee that they're going to want to get some snaps as well. So it's tough to be going into this situation with a lot of unknown, but man, there's a ton of talent in that running back room.
Speaking of talent, there's also redshirt freshman Sean Dollars. He's currently on injury, but from what we've heard, might come back mid-season. In 2020, during the shortened COVID season, he played all 7 games with 5.9 yards per carry. In the Pac-12 championship against USC, he had 52 yards on 7 carries. Ain't too bad. And as Mario Cristobal is quoting saying about Dollars, his future is through the roof. So if his return comes in, that really adds to the amount of guys that are able to pick up the slack that Verdell will be leaving. Against Stanford, he had 17 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. It's some pretty big shoes to fill. Max, do you have any other perspectives on who exactly could step up in this group?
Yeah, I mean, one point I wanted to add about Dye from earlier, with how successful he's been for the Ducks this season, I think one of the questions that you can't help but ask is, can his body sustain that kind of usage that CJ Verdell saw? He's listed, at least on the roster or on their website, at 5'10", 190, and he can definitely take some hits. But we saw how CJ Verdell was built a little bit bigger than him, closer to 200 pounds, and he's had some struggles with durability. So I think that's definitely something that you kind of have to consider here. Trey Benson is the next biggest back on the roster, and then you also have Byron Cardwell, who was the only other back to get in that Stanford game, 3 carries for 5 yards. So obviously a very, very small sample size. But Seven McGee, man, that guy is a playmaker for sure. We've seen him in very, very limited action. Had 2 carries for 7 yards against Arizona, but he also had 1 catch for 27 yards as the third quarter wound down, and the Ducks really needed an explosive play, just some kind of positive momentum after that. That was a horrendous third quarter. They barely touched the ball, and then when they did, I believe they got safetied. So, McGee is definitely someone that looks like he can be turned to when they need a big play, but at the same time, you kind of want to have some of that thunder and lightning, at least kind of what I would think that they did have with Verdell and Dye. So that kind of lends me to believe that maybe they'll turn to a guy like Cardwell or a Benson that has that more bruising frame and running style.
And it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the Ducks do in the running back room. The transitioning around, we saw it during the Stanford game, wasn't working out the best for the offensive line. So, what are we going to see when the entire offense is kind of doing that game of shuffle with the amount of injuries that are piling up on the Ducks plate? And that is it for this video. You can follow me at Alice Osborne, follow Max at M Torres Sports. Also, please check up with our Ducks Digest. We publish stories almost every day. Check in there at ducksdigest.com. And that is the end of this video. Stay tuned for more Ducks content.